In the billion-dollar world of esports, one legendary performance can make a player's entire career. But who actually owns that moment? Is it the player, whose skill made it happen? Or is it the company that created the game they're playing? Today, we're going to unpack that very question.
And this isn't just some hypothetical debate for lawyers to argue about. Oh no, this is a conflict that actually erupted between two industry giants, and it exposed a fundamental crack in the very foundation of digital ownership.
So, let's go back to 2010. You've got Blizzard Entertainment, the creators of the iconic game StarCraft, and they went head-to-head with KESPA, South Korea's super powerful esports association. Blizzard's argument was simple. Hey, this is our copyrighted game, you can't broadcast tournaments without our say-so. But KESPA fired back with a fascinating argument. They said, hold on, we're not broadcasting the game. We're broadcasting the unique, unscripted performances of the professional players.
So, who was right? Well, the answer is incredibly complex. It forces us to ask, who is the real creator in this whole scenario? Is it the developer who built the world from scratch, or is it the player who creates those unforgettable, jaw-dropping moments of action within it? To get to the bottom of this, we have to wade into copyright law and ask a really simple but profound question. When a professional is playing a game, who is the legal author of what we all see on screen? If you look at legal history, you can see the courts have really struggled with this. I mean, early on, with simpler arcade games, cases like Stern tended to favor the developer. The logic was that a player's actions were just too predictable to be considered truly creative. But as games got way more complex, you started seeing cases like MicroStar, which involved player-created levels. And that started to shift the whole perspective, recognizing that players could actually create a whole new narrative, giving them a potential claim to authorship. This legal gray area has led to a really powerful way of thinking about the issue. Instead of seeing a game as a finished product, like a movie, what if we see it more as a system, just a set of rules, a container for creativity? Think about it like poetry. The rules for writing a sonnet, 14 lines, a specific rhyme scheme, that's a system. You can't copyright that system. But a beautiful, specific sonnet written using those rules, well, that is a unique copyrightable expression owned by the poet. And this illustrates the argument for player ownership perfectly. The game StarCraft provides the system, the rules, and the tools. But the actual match, with all the brilliant strategies, the lightning-fast reflexes, the dramatic comebacks, that is the unique expressive performance, and it's created entirely by the players. Now, that's a pretty powerful argument for the player. But it's not the whole story, not by a long shot. Even if a performance is a unique creation, it doesn't happen in a total vacuum. A player's creativity is always working within a set of very real, unchangeable constraints. In fact, when you're playing at a professional level, you're bound by several layers of limitations that really challenge the whole idea of pure original authorship.
First up, and this one's the most obvious, are the functional constraints. We're talking about the game's code. Players can only do what the software allows them to do. They can't just decide to walk through walls or start flying unless a programmer specifically made that possible. The physics of the world are already decided for them.
Then you've got material constraints. This is the real-world stuff getting in the way. Things like network lag, the processing speed of your computer, or even the quality of a player's mouse. All of it can directly impact and limit the performance. A really skilled player might learn to use lag to their advantage, but it's still an external factor shaping their actions. And of course, just like in chess or soccer, the explicit rules of the game itself are a huge constraint. They dictate your strategy from the get-go. And that framework, by its very nature, limits the range of creative choices a player can possibly make.
So with all these constraints, a pure copyright claim gets really complicated. So if that path is a legal maze, is there another way to look at this? What if the answer isn't about owning the performance, but about owning the performer's identity? This brings us to a whole other legal concept called the right of publicity.
A top player's identity is so much more than just a name. It's a valuable brand. It's built on their famous handle, their team, and their signature play style. A style so distinct that other pros can often tell who's playing just by watching them. That entire persona has real commercial value. But here is the crucial legal hang-up. The right of publicity was designed to protect a person's physical face and name. So does that protection extend to the actions of a digital avatar? I mean, it represents the player, sure, but it's not the player themselves. And that creates this massive legal gray area.
This confusion is a huge problem for an industry that's built on star players and their epic performances. But there might be a solution on the horizon, a different legal idea borrowed from Europe that could finally bring some much-needed clarity.
It's a concept called neighboring rights, and the basic idea is to protect the performance itself as something separate from the underlying work. So think about an actor performing a play, or a musician playing a score. This concept gives them their own set of rights to their performance, acknowledging that their contribution is a separate creative act from writing the script or the music.
And this framework seems almost perfectly designed for esports, doesn't it? It cleanly separates the player's unique, improvisational performance from the developer's game code. It validates the player's creative input. And here's the kicker. The US has already signed an international treaty that includes these very rights, which could pave the way for it to become law here.
This all leads to one final, fascinating question for the future. Pro players are becoming global superstars, some even more famous than the games they play. As that continues to happen, the battle over who owns their performance is going to define the entire sport. So who ultimately holds the power? The person who built the stage, or the one who delivers the show-stopping performance on it?